The Meta Quest 3 versus the Apple Vision Pro. Which headset is the very best, and are they truly worth it? Let's dive right into it. Firstly, it is important to note that both of these headsets are very different from each other, because where the Meta Quest 3 is mostly focused on virtual reality, the Apple Vision Pro is going all in on mixed reality instead. And to see them side by side, we should start with the hardware. Since the Meta Quest 3 is getting all of its standalone power from the Snapdragon XR2 Generation 2 chip, which is also known as the standard for the best mobile chipset specifically made for virtual reality headsets. But the Vision Pro is using their own Apple silicon called the M2 chip combined together with what they call their brand new R1. And these absolute insane chips can, for example, be found in their MacBook lineup, meaning that compared to the Quest 3, the Apple Vision Pro has an insane advantage when it comes to horsepower in the chip that they're using. But what might be even more important is, of course, the screen quality. Where the Meta Quest 3 has just over 2000 pixels per eye, the Apple Vision Pro takes it all the way up to 4K. And not only that, because the display type itself of the Vision Pro is using a micro OLED panel, whereas Quest 3 is using a simple LCD screen. And for those who might not know, when it comes down to which displays are being used in a headset, it is very well known that OLED is capable of much deeper blacks and more vivid colors. So when we look at the screen as well as the chipset running the headset, the Apple Vision Pro is taking a big lead. But we are not done yet, because the next thing that is important is, of course, the lenses. With both headsets using the new Pancake technology, which allows the front visor to be a lot more slimmer. And this is especially useful when compared to older headsets like the Quest 2, which sometimes felt like you had a brick attached to your face. But when we start looking at the outside of the headsets, we can also see a big difference when it comes down to the sensors. Because where the Quest 3 is using multiple cameras on the outside to be capable of tracking your hands and controllers, as well as color pass-through, the Apple Vision Pro expands on this idea and even has some sensors built in on the inside of the headset, making it possible to use eye tracking as well as seeing facial expressions similar to what we saw in the Quest Pro. But one thing most of you have probably directly noticed is the out-facing display that shows the face of the user wearing the headset. This exact feature actually confused a lot of people because the face that you see is not actually directly the user itself. What that means is that when you are wearing this headset, you are still looking at a screen that is showing you the footage captured by the cameras built on the outside, and where others around you can see what your face looks like because of an external display that is faced outward using the camera feed that is faced towards you, which means it is a mixed reality headset, and not to be confused with some augmented reality glasses. But some other important features and differences that are included with the headset are, for example, the audio capabilities, where the Meta Quest 3 has some onboard speakers that aren't necessarily the best in its league. It also has support for a headphone jack if you would like to use that. And the Apple Vision Pro has an upgraded version of this using advanced spatial audio so that it will feel like the sound is coming from 360 degrees around you. But there are also some smaller details that should not be forgotten, with, for example, the base storage of the Quest 3 coming in at 128 gigabytes, while the base model of the Apple Vision Pro comes in at double of 256. But the point where the Quest 3 is clearly winning is when we look at the battery life. Coming in at 2.5 hours to max of 3, the Apple Vision Pro is coming short of just 2 hours on a full charge, which is shockingly low for any mixed reality headset. But what we should also not forget is the other things that come included in the box, because the Meta Quest 3 has their brand new haptic touch controllers, which let you interact with virtual reality in a much more realistic way, kind of giving that level of haptic feedback similar to what we see in the PlayStation 5 controllers. But in case you don't want to use them, you can also switch to their hand tracking only feature, while the Apple Vision Pro does not come with controllers included since it is fully operational using just hand tracking. But luckily, they did put in an extra head strap, so you can choose at least between which one is most comfortable for you. And while on paper, the Apple Vision Pro sounds almost better on every single level when it comes to the specs, we also have to address the huge elephant in the room, which is known as the price. Because the base model of the Meta Quest 3 comes in at $500, the Apple Vision Pro comes in at a grand total of $3,500. But while there might be some big differences in between the hardware and price, in the end, the software is actually the most important part of it, because both of them will be used for completely different scenarios. But before we get into that, a quick word from the company that made this video possible. Have you ever Googled yourself and were shocked to see how much personal information about you was actually out there? Because this is exactly what data brokers are making a fortune of. Quickly selling your information to robocallers, spammers, and many others who can profit from your personal data. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, which is Aura, because they can identify these data brokers that are exposing your info and submit an opt-out request on your behalf. This is because brokers are legally required to remove your info if you ask them. However, they always make it super hard to do so. But luckily, Aura can do this all for you. And making it even better is that you can try it out for 2 weeks completely free of charge. And besides that, it is also capable of much more, meaning you don't need any different apps like antiviruses, VPNs, or password managers any longer, because instead it all comes into this single package, making sure that you can let Aura do all the hard work, while you can stay safe online with peace of mind. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link for you guys with a free trial in the description below. And with that said, let's get right back into it. So that gets us to the software, with the Meta Quest 3 being mostly focused on virtual reality gaming with a little bit of productivity to the side. Also making it a hybrid VR headset, since you can hook it up to a computer and play VR games on platforms like Steam, while the Apple Vision Pro went fully in on mixed reality and its capabilities of high-end productivity by replacing or adding on to your current technology. Think about your TV screens, laptops, or even your home computers, so that you can create a screen on any single wall or get much better social experiences when it comes to Zoom calls or different meetings, making the target audience very different depending on the headset that you're looking for. And while it is still possible to play games on the Vision Pro, at the moment, these are not actual virtual reality experiences. Instead, you could hook up your PlayStation controller and play on a big screen in front of you in 2D, but this feature is also possible already on the Meta Quest 3. Besides, both of them are also using complete different interfaces. And even so, it is just scratching the surface of how different these headsets actually are. But that gets us to the final conclusion, with the Meta Quest 3 being a virtual reality headset that is mostly focused on VR games with a little bit of productivity options, while the Apple Vision Pro is a mixed reality headset that is trying to enhance or even completely replace most of the screens that you are using right now. And while it has some awesome specs, from an insane display to its many sensors and powerful chipset, it also comes in at a hefty price tag, 7 times that of the Meta Quest 3. But in the end, I think that both of them are one of the best headsets out there when you look at the category that they fall into. But that's not all, because if you want to see the Quest 3 compared to other VR headsets that are very similar, then click on the video you see on screen right now to make sure you don't miss out.